Hello. Okay, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, that's perfect. I
Hello.
think welcome back to another exciting episode of Threat Intelligence Seminar. This seminar or this platform is where we get to learn things, for cybersecurity. We also actually educate ourselves on how to actually stay protected and keep our systems protected. All right. So our section is divided into two sessions, as you know. The first session will be a video session. The second session will be the presentation section. All right. So I will proceed and go to the first session, which is the video session. After we are done with the video session, we proceed to the other section, which is the presentation session. So I'll play the video two times, watch the video, make sure you understand the video, learn something about the video, and then when you are done with the video, we meet here again, and then we talk more about cybersecurity.
A nasty piece of work. He is currently trying to hack. This is a cyber criminal, a nasty piece of work. He is currently trying to hack into an unsuspecting social media manager's accounts for sensitive information. He is Cyberto. However, it doesn't take an evil genius to figure out that there are some passwords that are highly predictable and unfortunately common. ABC123, QWERTY, Password1, and many others are examples of this. He frantically attempts each one of them, one after another, into Josie's password field for her email. Aha! Looked like you may have underestimated Josie there, Cyberto. Her account remains secure. Unless, of course, she has left an alternate way of guessing her password on her public social media. Oh no! Josie's publicly shared obsession for this pop star is an easy assumption for what she might use as her password that anyone after a simple Google search of her name can see. Oh, and now he's in. Oh goodness, look at all that data that he's managed to come across. The file names to those attachments. Could you sound more juicy? At the click of a button, these are downloaded and company data has been compromised. Being the social media manager, Josie runs other social media accounts for the company. Let's hope she hasn't used the same password for them. Looks like she did. So how could Josie have been more secure when creating her accounts? As opposed to birthdays, pets, interests, etc., it's better to have a password that isn't directly linked to publicly obtainable information about yourself. This time, Josie comes up with 3 random words. Blue ampersand Kentucky 48. Ah, now that's a strong password. Just avoid writing them down and displaying them. Let's see Cyberto try to guess that now. Though he's clearly struggling a lot more than before, it's not impossible for it to come by pure chance. See? Luckily though, Josie also has two-factor authentication turned on. This means that instead of letting Cyberto get into her emails, the email service asks for a code from an authenticator app to confirm her identity. She should take this opportunity to change her password. Filed again, Cyberto. Never use generic passwords like ABC123 or Password1. Don't use any personal information like birthdays or pet names in passwords. Avoid writing down passwords or sharing them between colleagues. turn on two-factor authentication. This is a cybercriminal, a nasty piece of work. He is currently trying to hack into an unsuspecting social media manager's accounts for sensitive information. He is Cyberto. However, it doesn't take an evil genius to figure out that there are some passwords that are highly predictable and unfortunately common. ABC123, QWERTY, Password 1, and many others are examples of this. He frantically attempts each one after another into Josie's password field for her email. Aha! Oh goodness, look at all that data that he's managed to come across. The file names to those attachments. Could you sound more juicy? At the click of a button, these are downloaded and company data has been compromised. Being the social media manager, Josie runs other social media accounts for the company. Let's hope she hasn't used the same password for them. Looks like she did. So how could Josie have been more secure when creating her accounts? As opposed to birthdays, pets, interests, etc., it's better to have a password that isn't directly linked to publicly obtainable information about yourself. This time, Josie comes up with 3 random words: blue ampersand Kentucky 48. Ah, now that's a strong password. Just avoid writing them down and displaying them. Let's see Cyberto try to guess that now. Though he's clearly struggling a lot more than before, it's not impossible for it to come by pure chance. See? Luckily though, Josie also has two-factor authentication turned on. This means that instead of letting Cyberto get into her emails, the email service asks for a code from an authenticator app to confirm her identity. She should take this opportunity to change her password. Forward again, Cyberto. Never use generic passwords like ABC123 or password 1. Don't use any personal information like birthdays or pet names in passwords. Avoid writing down passwords or sharing them between colleagues. Turn on two-factor authentication.
Oh, welcome back from the video that we just watched. I think the video was trying to advise us to actually pick a strong password for our accounts. Wherever we are or wherever we find ourselves, we should actually make sure that we actually take a strong password for for our accounts. Maybe it can be the security administrator, maybe you're just creating an account for somebody. Make sure that you don't actually pick a default password or password that's actually linked to people can actually find this password in the public. All right, and then it also said in the video that you should make sure you turn on two-factor authentication. So if you are here and you don't know what two-factor authentication is, two-factor authentication is a second layer of defense. So the first layer will be the username and your password. The other layer will be a different, input. So you actually have to add that input to your password to get into your account. So whenever, let's say, you are logging into an account, after you've given the username, you give the account the password, the account will tell you that, okay, provide us with this code. You've sent a code to your email, or we've sent you a code to your SMS, or try to scan bring your fingerprint, or all these things become a second layer of defense. So turning on two-factor authentication for accounts is actually important. So as a security administrator or as a security person, if let's say you're in charge of setting up your organization's platform, make sure that two-factor authentication is added. So even if the password and the username is compromised, somebody finds the password, find the username, the person can't actually log into the account without the two-factor authentication, without the second layer. So the person will pass the first layer. Now you'll be asked for the details for the second layer. So that is that about two-factor authentication. So yes, that will be the end of our first session, which is the video awareness session that we just watched. So from here, we are moving to the second part, which is the presentation session, right? I believe so far we are all okay with what the video we just watched. I believe there are no questions now. We actually move on to today's presentation. So with today's presentation, we'll be looking at malicious software or malware. That is the topic for today, and I will be the one to actually present on malware. So I'll proceed and share my screen again, and then you know more about malware and what these things are, the differences between them, and what will make them stand out, or how will you find these things on your platform or on your computer, right? So, okay. All right, so as you can see my screen, you can see malware, it's here. All right, so many a times we actually confuse ourselves. We think that malware is virus, or every malware is a virus. But then I'm here to tell you today, or if you know already, that there are different types of malware in which virus is a type of malware. So malware actually stands for isn't my screen moving? Okay. Malware actually stands for malicious software. So the mal is malicious, the ware is software. Now, what is malware? Malware, which means malicious software, is a specifically designed software. It is specifically designed software to infiltrate, damage, or disrupt computer systems, network, or devices without the user's consent. Now, malware refers to any particular software that has been created. So these softwares are mostly created by the bad people, that the hackers or the bad hackers. So let me say the bad hackers. Now, these softwares are just specifically designed to actually enter somebody's network or enter somebody's system, do what this software is meant to do, because each different malware and what it wants to do, right? So malware typically is here to actually do bad things. So these are softwares that are created to do bad things without, our consent, because nobody actually wants their computer to suffer from virus. Okay, so malware actually comes in various forms, each with a unique method of attack. So every malware has how it attacks a system, what it is designed for, and the level of sophistication that's associated with that particular malware. Now, there are some malware that are designed to steal personal data. Some are also designed to spy on users. Some are designed to actually corrupt systems. We have malware designed to turn your computer into a bot. Right? So we have different types of malware where we actually look at the difference and how to actually protect ourselves from these malware. Right? So now we've actually learned the definition of malware, and we know that malware, malicious software, any program or file that is specifically designed to disrupt, damage, or gain unauthorized access to a computer system. That is what malware is. Now, malware may have different objectives, like there are different goals for each particular malware, but the general goal for malware is that they are actually designed for financial gain. Right? So it's either this person is trying to steal your banking details, your credentials, or this person is trying to demand ransom from you. Now, another objective of malware is to make sure that the services, the platform of organizations and businesses are no longer functioning. Right? So this is another objectives of malware. We have the third one, which is an espionage. Espionage is like illegally spying on somebody, right? So if let's say you are in a competition with I am Coca-Cola and then there's Pepsi. Now Coca-Cola and Pepsi are into a competition. Both are just trying to win the market, even though they all have a big market share. Now, Coca-Cola can actually design a malware to actually infiltrate the system of Pepsi to actually gather information, gather confidential information. Let's get to know what, let's say, the other company, let's say what Pepsi is planning, what the development in Pepsi's company is like, and how to actually use this information to our advantage, right? So malware can also be used for espionage. Now, vandalism is also another objective of malware. That is, they want to actually damage a system and making sure that you can no longer use your system anymore, or making sure that, let's say, your computer is affected by a type of malware in a sense that you can't actually use this malware and this computer again. So these are the objectives of malware. Now, from here, we move on to the types of malware. What are the types? So there are different types of malware. So mostly, I think there are 12 different types of malware and malicious software. 12. But then some make it 10, some make it more than 12. So we look at the major types. We look at the major types of malware, what they are like, how it's different from other ones we have. Okay, so we have the first one, which is viruses. That is the most common one, a virus. We all have heard about viruses before. This virus is a type of malware that attach itself to a legitimate program or file. So a virus is actually sometimes added to a file, added to a software, and once let's say you bring this file to your computer, you click on this file to run this file, the virus attached to this file will also be executed. Now, this virus can then go onto your system to corrupt data or to sometimes make your system inoperationable, meaning that you can't actually be using your system for what you want to actually use it for, right? So some viruses actually replicate itself. They actually replicate itself. That is what the virus does. A virus will replicate itself and actually spread on your computer. So sometimes somebody or a friend can actually come a friend can actually come to you. Oh, I want to download this thing for me. I want you to download this for me. Now, the moment you try inputting this on your pen drive, maybe it was not intention of the person because the person didn't even know that his drive is affected by a malware. So as soon as you actually input in this pen drive into your computer and you click on that particular file, you click on the folder to actually save something or install something for your friend, this virus also come onto your computer and spread. Now, viruses require human action. A virus is dormant unless it is clicked on or unless it is open. So different viruses and how its mode of spread is. Right? So some viruses, as soon as you open them, it spreads. some viruses, as soon as, let's say, you copy them, there are some viruses on the pen drive. You don't even have to click on it. You just have to open the pen drive and this virus spreads, right? Now, a virus can modify or delete files. So a virus can actually delete certain files from your computer, depending on what it's actually designed for. It can also change files on your computer, meaning that it can, let's say, duplicate files. So if you are common or you've seen viruses before, when your device is actually infected with the virus, so you open a folder, you know that this virus has spread into this part of my computer, and you see that the files here will be duplicated, like different copies of the files. When you open it, you go to an empty page. When you open it, so it can modify system. Now, virus often spread through infected software, email attachment, or a removable media. So a pen drive. Somebody can also send you a virus through an attachment in your email, right? Viruses can also be attached to a software. So you go to a particular site, maybe that site is not a secured site. Now, a virus can actually be attached to this particular software, and then as soon as you install this software on your computer, now a virus actually infects your computer. Now let's move to the second part, which is worms. Worms is like virus, but with this worm or this kind of malware, it doesn't actually need you to click on it. It doesn't need any human to click on it. Worms spread on their own. As soon as they get into your system, they just spread automatically. They don't actually need you to actually click on them, right? So with worms, once these worms, let's say you go to a particular website to download a file. As soon as you go to that particular website, the website scans your browser or scans your computer or that malicious website. So the malicious website, let's say a bad website, is not a secured website. You go there because you're going to download a software for free. You don't want to actually pay for the software, let's say. So you have this alternative website. Now, this website is not actually, the best thing to do. But here, since you actually want to download the file, you go there or the software, you go to that particular website, and then you try downloading that particular software. Now, as soon as you download that software, the worms, if there are worms on that particular website, the worms will actually scan, your system and look for weaknesses. So vulnerabilities are weaknesses. This worms actually will look for a weakness. And as soon as this worm finds a weakness on your network, this worm will actually enter your network, spread across. So worms don't actually need you to click on them to actually spread like viruses do. But with worms, they come through cracks, they come through vulnerabilities, and once they come onto a system, they spread from one system to another system. So let's say in an organization, you have your computer there and different computers on a network. As soon as my computer is affected with a worm or is infected with a worm, this worm will actually spread from my computer to a colleague's computer, provided we are on the same network, because it actually exploited the same vulnerability. So worms actually spread through large, or can spread through systems, large systems. Right. So the difference between the worms and viruses is that worms don't actually need you to click it, or they need you to associate or just run it. Worms actually run itself. Okay, so that is the difference between worms and virus, and all these things are malicious software or malware. Another famous and deadly virus is the Trojan horse, also known as Trojans. Now, the story of Trojan horse, if you're actually familiar with history, you know that the Trojan horse actually, originated from the ancient Greek mythology, like where it's actually about a war. So if there's also a movie about that, I think Helen of Troy, you know, with Trojan horse, according to the myth, let's see, so it was actually a fight between the Greeks and the people of Troy, right, in the city of Troy. Now, the whole reason why these people were fighting was because of a woman, though, but then a woman made, different big empires fight against each other. Now, the conflict has been going on for 10 years. Okay, so the Greeks actually wanted to conquer the city of Troy because Troy was a fortress. It had strong walls in which the Greeks couldn't penetrate. So no matter how the Greeks will actually come in and try to actually conquer its opponent, that is the city of Troy, the city of Troy will actually hide behind its strong walls to actually protect itself and fight back. Now, the Greeks actually developed a plan. Okay, so they actually built a giant statue, a giant wood carved horse. Right, so they built a horse. I think the horse was also a symbol in the city of Troy. So they built this giant horse. They hid inside the horse and dragged the horse in front of the city of Troy in the night as a form of gift, meaning that okay, we've been trying to fight you guys for a long time. Now we can't fight you anymore. So we are leaving. So they brought the horse inside the gate of Troy and they left. You could see that they went on to board their ship and then they left. Right. So the city of Troy, the people of Troy were just looking at them and they were celebrating. So they left their shores. Now, not knowing that some soldiers, a group of soldiers were actually hiding inside this giant horse. So midnight, the city of Troy actually opened its gates, allowed the brought the giant horse inside the city, and they were jubilating, they were celebrating. After all, these people couldn't take our city, and they were drinking and they were doing all sorts of things inside the city. Now, when it was midnight, they were drunk. The soldiers inside the horse actually, were able to come out from open the door and allow the thumb soldiers of the Greeks to actually come inside. So the plan that they were retreating was also all part of the plan to actually deceive them. They didn't actually retreat, they were hiding somewhere. Now, once it was midnight, these soldiers inside came, opened the door, fought with the soldiers, but the soldiers were actually drunk, allowing the other soldiers who actually were trying to retreat also to come inside the city and take over Troy. So that was how Troy fell. Now, this thing is what I've actually been used to actually name this kind of malware. Now, this malware is a Trojan horse because it pretends to be a legitimate software, just like the horse pretended, the giant horse, it was a pretend to be a gift that has been given to the city. This Trojan horse malware also pretends to be a legitimate program. Now, this legitimate program is not that program that you think it is. It actually has disguised itself into a malicious software. So you thinking that you are installing or you are downloading this particular software, not knowing that this software has disguised itself. It's showing that, okay, it's me, but in its write-up or in its code, it's actually a malicious software. And this type of software are called Trojan horse. Now, once this software enters your system or enters inside your organization, your computer, it actually do a lot of bad things, such as this device, this malware can actually steal your data. It can also spy on whatever you are doing. Okay. It can also allow remote access to your system, meaning that the hacker who created this particular Trojan horse can remotely access your system, let's say from somewhere, So this Trojan horse is a type of malware and is a very dangerous type of malware. Okay, so with this Trojan horse, it cannot actually replicate itself, meaning that you have to actually click on it because it pretends to be a legitimate software. So as soon as you are installing the software, so in your mind, okay, you are installing, let's say, Facebook. You go to a site, you've downloaded Facebook to come and install. Now the thing that you downloaded in the outside will show Facebook and everything, but in the inside, it says a Trojan horse. So you click on it, Facebook actually starts installing. You think it's Facebook installing, it will finish installing too for you, but then the Trojan horse will function as soon as this software is actually installed on your system. It can also be used for theft, espionage, or creating backdoors. Okay, so the Trojan horse can also be added to a legitimate software or be changed into that legitimate software. So two types of ways in which Trojan horse spread. Now, a part is that Trojan horse has been added to the software bundle, or so the software file has been added to it, or this Trojan horse has been changed, disguised as that legitimate software that you are trying to install. So this is Trojan horse, and this is another example, another type of malicious software. The next malicious software that we have is ransomware. This malicious software holds users to a ransom. Now, okay. Now, what this malware does is that this type of malware actually comes to your system and encrypts files on your system. How does it do that, or what is encryption? So encryption is a technique in computing which actually changes a file into an unreadable format to make sure that nobody else can actually read it or open it. So in ransomware, you actually need, in encryption, you actually try and encrypt with a key. So you actually encrypt with a key. So it's like more like a password, but this is a key, a strong key. So that is that same key that you use to decrypt, or you use that same key to open if you actually want to read the file. So it is actually done in such a way that, let's say I encrypt a file and I don't want anybody to open it. I am the person who has the key. So if I want my friend or a colleague, Kwame, to actually to open this file, I have to actually give the key to Kwame for Kwame to open that file. Now, this is how this ransomware works. This ransomware will come into your system, encrypt files in your system. It locks that files in your system. And after it locks the files on your system, it tells you to pay money. So it holds you for a ransom if you want to actually see your file, because it has encrypted it with a key. If you actually want the key to read your files, use your files, pay this amount of money to this account. Right now, they often use a crypto kind of ransomware in such a way that you have to pay the money into, in cryptocurrency. So if you're actually familiar with cryptocurrency, it is actually untraceable. If it was a normal account, you would actually trace it, call the bank, call its cybersecurity people to actually report to this account, look for the name associated with the account, and then you can actually make arrest or block this account. But here, they actually use cryptocurrency or a crypto account in such a way that you can't actually block it. You can't actually trace it to actually know who is behind it. It is actually anonymous and it's secretive, private. Right? So this type of software comes into your system. The software encrypts the files on your system or the data on your system in such a way that you can't actually use it. And they tell you, pay this amount of money before I release these files for you. So will you pay or won't you pay, depending on you if you actually need the files, right? So this is a type of malware, and oftentimes they actually give you a countdown. So in the next 20 minutes, if you don't actually pay, the money will increase. Or in the next 30 minutes, if you don't pay up, you actually, it won't give you the key forever, meaning you lose that file, you lose that data. Maybe it might be confidential, sensitive information that you don't want to lose. Now, actually, this thing actually ties the hands of security persons or organizations. So this is a type of malware. Another malware that we have is called a spyware, spying software. This type of malware is actually designed to actually steal information, sensitive information, to actually spy on you. So this type of, let's say, malware can enter your system, or is designed to actually enter systems to actually, bring important information. So you can let's say this malware can, let's say, come and attach itself to your camera, the camera inside the computer. So you may be sitting there, this spyware has actually turned on your computer, your camera in the back or in the background. So you might be, let's say, dancing, doing all sorts of things. Maybe you might be naked in front of your camera because your laptop is always there in your house. Now, this spyware can actually, be used to actually gather all this kind of information. It can also be used to actually steal login credentials. So as soon as this spyware comes onto your system, it actually looks for, let's say, numbers, passwords, login credentials. So it's actually designed that whenever you come onto a system, look for this unique type of, files and bring them to me. It can also steal browsing habits. If you go to your browser, whatever you're doing on your browser, it can actually see these things. Now, spyware are not actually being only used by, let's say, the dark web, or used by the black hackers, the evil people that we know. A spyware can also be used by, let's say, your disgruntled a spyware can also be used by your disgruntled ex or family member. So if you have an ex-girlfriend who also, or if you have a current girlfriend or your parents, they can even try to spy on you. Look at what my kid is doing, what browsing habits, what is let's say, my partner or my children doing on his computer. So it's actually designed to actually spy on individuals. Okay, so you can also do all these things in the background without you even noticing it. Okay, so that's it, spyware. And then that brings us to another type of malware that we have, is an adware. So an adware, unlike the spyware, is not actually that bad of a software. This adware actually brings you unwanted banners, unwanted pop-ups. So if you have this type of software or this type of malware on your computer called adware, you actually be receiving unknown pop-ups, banners, software that you don't actually have, or software that you don't actually want, to actually slow down your system, right? Its intentions is not to actually to steal sensitive data or compromise a system like most of the malware that we've met. But with this type of malware, it actually brings, unwanted ads, and you know that sometimes ads, it's how some people get money. The more you click the ads, the more you engage with the ads, you actually get money from that. Or it can also be used for mining, it's called digital mining. to actually, generate money from, your computer. This is what adwares can actually do. So adwares are type of malware that's sometimes even added to your system. It's even added to a software in your system. So the moment you click on the software and try to run the software, this particular adware will also be installed on your system, and then it will be giving you unknown banners, pop-ups, So if, let's say, you go to a website, some websites actually have this feature. It gives you different ads. There are different ads all over this computer, this website. You have to, the moment you try to click and close it, it sends you to another page. The moment you try to close it, it sends you to another page. So these are all forms of mining. That once you click on it, it sends you to a page, that actually pays them per click or per visit. So this is a type of malware. I think somebody is trying to join. Pradeep, can you please add the person? And yeah, so this is a type of malware. Right? So we've actually learned a lot about the types. Let's move on to another type. This type of malware are called rootkits. Now, this malicious software is actually one of the baddest we have, one of the baddest on the dark market, and mostly also expensive too. Now, with this type of malware, once it is designed, so the bad people actually design this malware. The bad people actually design this malware, comes to your system, and once this malware is on your system, it gives the bad people access, control over your system, meaning that you can no longer use your computer, or the bad person will be using your computer, will be doing things in the process. Now, it gives them, the attackers, to maintain persistent control. So you'll be doing things in the background, you'll be stealing information with the background. This attacker will have remote access, remote control to your system in the background. So you on your computer, maybe you might think things are going on well. There's nothing wrong with the computer, but this rootkit will be in the background, giving this bad person, the attacker, access to your system. So let me just make this example. So let's say it actually opens your computer up for the person. It opens it up. This person now have control over your system. Now, this person can actually use this to actually install other types of malware. So now this person now have access to your system, can actually control it in the background. He can then further on install other types of malware and other types of bad softwares on your computer to actually do the thing that the person wants to do. Or also, the person is trying to spy on you. So it can actually open your system for you. Whatever that you are doing with your system, this person is capturing it. So let's say you have this type of malware on your computer, and now you're trying to log into your bank account. The moment you type, you open your bank account, all these details, the person actually can have access to these details, and then you'll be sleeping. Now, this person will then go onto your bank account, transfer money out of your bank account or something like that. So this is a rootkit, and a rootkit is actually difficult to detect and remove in such a way that it actually can modify your operating system in such a way that every time it boots up, it'll be part of the operating system. It actually, modifies a few files on your operating system in such a way that, it can also do the thing that you want to do. So the moment you try to scan it, you won't find it because it has actually, embedded itself with the operating system, and it's difficult to actually remove. So with rootkit, sometimes you have to actually build your system up again, meaning that you have to actually flash, let's say, your computer. If you have a computer that's affected with a rootkit, maybe you might have to actually flash it or remove everything from it, because the moment you don't do that, maybe thinking that you have an antivirus there, oh, you've cleared it. No, it actually modify, deep system files, change security settings in such a way that you can't even detect it. So the rootkit can also change security system and make itself not a virus. So it's actually, or sorry, not a malware. So it's actually a dangerous kind of malware that we have. You have to pay attention to all these things. The next one we have are keyloggers. Keyloggers. Now, this keyloggers is actually simple. Its design is used to actually steal keyboard inputs. So this is a type of software that actually designed by attackers. And once this software comes onto your computer, everything that you type on your computer, this person can read them. Okay, so you login credentials, you're typing in your login credentials on your keyboard, it actually steals it or sends it to the attacker. Maybe you are using a joystick, you are using a mouse to actually go to different sites. You go to the site, once you click on the input device, it tracks it. Once you click on the key, it tracks it. Once you are sending a personal message, so the moment you are typing on your keyboard, how are you? Maybe your organization is planning on releasing a software or maybe strategy, promotion strategy or something. You are telling your boss, okay, what should we do about this? All this information, all this conversation that you are sending with your computer, type. Once this keylogger is on your computer, it captures all your strokes. Right? So keyboard strokes. So you press, oh, maybe we should send this money to this account. You then it will actually click it. Then you click it and then you record it. Okay, give me the account number. Then account number or the password. Maybe you're chatting with your boss. It's not like you are just doing it deliberately. You're chatting with, boss on a confidential platform. But while this keylogger, which is a malware, is installed on your computer, the moment you click everything, this keylogger will actually read it and send it to the attackers. All right, so it can be a hardware or software based, so it can be installed parts embedded inside your laptop. So there was this report that the U.S. Military intercepted. They were shipping some laptops to China, and then the U.S. military actually intercepted that laptop and actually embedded, this few things on it as a hardware. So they will actually put it on the motherboard in such a way that you won't actually notice. So everything that you type will actually be given, or the US government can actually see the thing that you are typing. So that is keylogger. That is an example of a malware, malicious software. Now, another type of malicious software that we have is called botnet. Botnet. Now, this botnet is actually designed to actually turn your computer into a zombie. Now, what do I mean by turn your computer into a zombie? So once this botnet actually comes to your computer, it actually adds your computer to, let's say, an army of other bots. It turns your computer to a bot in such a way that an attacker can use your computer to actually do bad things or use your computer to cause havoc. So now your computer becomes a robot to the attacker. The attacker is now using your computer to actually do bad things. So these people can get different computers. So once they get different computers on board, it becomes a botnet. It becomes a network of bots. So maybe a computer in Accra, a computer in the US, it has actually taken different types of computers. And this actually is a very common type of computer. This actually is a common type of computer in such a way that um hold on, let me try and do this. Okay, so yes, so it is actually a common type of thing because people do not actually care about these things. Let's say when you talk to elderly people who actually use computers, who actually use they actually take strong passwords. They don't care about security. And these are the type of bots that these are their computers that are mostly used or turn into a bot. Now, this attacker can actually use my computer. Let's say if the attacker has turned my computer into a bot, it will use my computer to actually cause problems. So my computer will be sending messages, spam messages to people. My computer will be used to block people or block systems, attack that or block systems. And when you trace it, it will trace it back to me because my computer has been turned into a zombie and the attacker is actually using my computer to actually do bad things. So that is what a bot is. And a network, a group of bots, it's a botnet. So the attacker can actually sit wherever he wants and control my computer because my computer is now a bot. Now you can see there's DDoS attacks here, distributed denial of service attack. This type of attack is when the bots are used to flood a system. Okay, so every particular system in the world has a number of requests that you can take. So let's say Google or Amazon, or let's say Netflix. Netflix has a number of requests, the number of people who should actually access Netflix at a particular time. So let's say 12 million or 50 million people can actually enter Netflix at a time. Now, a bot can be used to send that 50 million requests because it is a large number of bots or a large number of zombies. Because for what you know, maybe your computer may be belonging to maybe a bot because you don't know. And it's difficult for you to see if your computer is a bot because the attacker would actually try to steal data or try to actually, remove something, but it's actually using your computer to maybe do things that you don't even know of that your computer is doing. So now, with this Netflix scenario, Netflix would actually be in such a way that it can't actually provide service again because different people, different computers are actually on the network. So bots from all over the world. Now, Netflix might perceive this as a legitimate way because in fact, it is a request or it is a computer who is actually sending that request to Netflix. So make sure in such a way that Netflix account will break down or would go off in such a way that if a legitimate person, so a raw person wants to actually go to Netflix, the person can't actually access it because that particular website is down. So wherever you find yourself that, oh, this website is down, this website is down, this website is not responding, it can be that the website is actually, being attacked by bots, or that term of attack is called a distributed denial of service attack, DDoS. So the website is not, you are not able to access that particular website because the bots are on it. The bots have sent too many requests to that particular website. So now nobody else can be able to access it. So whenever you try accessing the website, they will say it is full, try again. This is what botnets are actually used for. Now, so we've actually covered a lot of different malware. So malicious software, that the shorts for malware, malicious software, malware. And these are softwares that are specifically created to do bad things. And they have different types. An example is a virus. An example is botnet. An example is keylogger. An example is rootkit. A type is adware. Another type is spyware. Another type is ransomware. We have types. Another type is Trojan horses or Trojans, and we have worms. So these are different types of malicious software that are actually being created by the attackers. And the one interesting part about all these things is because when you go to the dark web, all these things are sold there. So you can actually get some for, let's say, $10, $100, depending on how big and how devastating, sophisticated it can actually do, right? So all these things are there, so I can actually go to the dark web and purchase, this type of malicious software, and then I'll use it. Okay, so how to actually combat against this malware. Now, these are the general things you can do to yourself. So this is something that everybody else must know. So you must make sure that you install and you update your antivirus software. So make sure that at least you have an antivirus on your computer. You must also make sure that there is a firewall setting. So firewall settings are settings that you do, let's say, to your network. So on your router or on, let's say, your internet service provider. So let's say that you make firewall setting to actually block a request. So if this request is not something that you know, so if, let's say, or some network somewhere is actually requesting permission to your network, the firewall can actually block this request, because the firewall, you've set it in such a way that it must only accept requests from known people or known people on your organization. So that is that. You have to make sure that you keep your systems and softwares updated. So whenever there's a new update, you actually you have to make sure you install these updates. So iOS updates, Windows updates, software updates. Every software update comes with a security patch. So every update comes in such a way that the security is stronger. So the vendors, so let's say software owners, let's say Microsoft, who've actually installed, who brought Microsoft Windows 11. So Microsoft releases updates. So constantly you see updates. They update in such a way that Microsoft has actually find a weakness in their systems, and they are updating it, making sure that that weakness is no longer there. So you must make sure that you update softwares on your computer regularly. And number 4, use strong passwords. Don't use password 123, your name 123, your name and your date of birth. Choose strong passwords for account. Wherever that you are setting up an account, you take strong or do strong passwords. The 5th one says be cautious with email attachments and links. So you'll be there and somebody sends you an email that's, okay, open this link, or you receive an email with an attachment, download this picture or download this image. Be cautious with it. Look at who is sending you that attachment, who is sending you that email, so this email attachment or this link can be once you click on the link, maybe it will send you to an illegitimate website, and then a malware can be introduced to your computer. Or as soon as, let's say, you click on this attachment, you open the attachment, the malware can be installed on your computer. So make sure that anytime somebody is sending you something, or you've received an attachment, tread carefully before you open it. Number 6 says download software from trusted sources. Make sure that wherever you are downloading a software, people like free things, like, this software is free. Okay, so I'm going to download it. I don't have to pay for anything. Now, it might be free, but then that website may have been compromised in such a way that a virus has been attached to that software. So the moment, or a malware has been attached to that software. So the moment you download that software, run that software, you actually realize that, oh, you have installed malware or viruses on your computer. So download software from trusted web sources. So if you actually pick your browser, let's say your laptop, and you're going to a site, you will see HTTPS. The S stands for secure, meaning that that particular website is secure. So if you are going to a website that is not legitimate, sometimes your browser will prompt you, are you sure you want to continue to this website? Because your browser has actually seen that your website, that website you're trying to go to, is not legitimate. So it's asking you, you are going there at your own risk. So you have to be cautious of all these things. Now, number 7 says use anti-phishing tools. Make sure that you have tools that can block phishing attacks. Whenever there's a phishing attack, you can have tools. So whenever an illegitimate website or somebody is sending you an illegitimate email, okay, so I want to be your friend, click on this email, something, that kind of thing. Or it is me, your mother, who is calling, or it is me, your friend from abroad, who is sending you this click on this. I've sent you a package, or I've sent you money to recover this money. Just click on it, and then all these things are phishing, phishing messages, right? So you have to make sure that you have tools that can fight against this phishing attacks. Now, another important thing is back up regularly, back your data regularly. Have a separate storage where you back your data, you back your files in such a way that if your data is compromised, you have backup to actually rely on. Because if you don't have backup, and let's say your computer has been encrypted and the person is demanding ransom, you will pay because you don't have that file somewhere. But if let's say you have a backup and somebody else has been able to compromise your computer and encrypt your files, demanding that you pay this amount of money before I release them, you have backup, so you can actually tell the person to go and sleep somewhere. So that is, you make sure that you back up your data regularly. Number 9 is use a multi-factor authentication. So making sure that there's also a second layer of defense. So multi-factor authentication means that, apart from your passwords, you have a different way to actually verify yourself on a platform. So it can be a fingerprint. Let's say, after you input in your password, scan, input your fingerprint. Or let's say, after you input in your password, I've sent you a link to your email, or I've sent you a code to your mobile phone, an SMS token, unique number, 5 digits. Copy that 5 digits and input them so that we know that it's you. It is you who is trying to access the account. All these can be multi-factor, meaning that there are more than one, more than, more multi-factor, so more than 2 different factors of authentication. So aside your password, there's another type of authentication, that you use to actually access your system or computer. So even if the attacker has your password, doesn't know what, let's say, is your favorite pet, or or let's say where your mother met, your parents met. So sometimes they ask you these questions. What is the city that you grew up? All these things are all authentication factors. Number 10 is educate your members, educate your friends, educate your colleagues on cybersecurity. Do this, have trainings in your organization, making sure that you do this, do that, all these things, right? So number 11 says scan external devices. So before you actually open an external device, scan them. If a friend brings you a pen drive or a hard disk, scan it with an antivirus software before you actually open it. Number 12 says disable macros in email attachments. Now macros are a form of coding in, let's say, Google, Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, or Microsoft Excel. Now the macros are designed to actually make sure that you can do repetitive tasks in MS Word. So let's say every time I open my file, let's say I type a file, and I make it in such a way that every time I type a file, do this, do that, maybe make sure that the font is 12, make sure that there's a header underline. So you can do all these things in Microsoft Word or the Microsoft suites. You can do all these macros. But then that is the same way the attackers can also use the macros against you. So they can also twitch a few things in in there. So if you receive an email attachment from somebody, a Microsoft Word document, the person might have, added virus to macros of the email attachment. So the moment you open the email attachment, it opens, then the virus spreads on your computer, right? So make sure that you disable macros in email attachments. And the last one says monitor network activity for unusual behavior. So if you feel like this computer is actually behaving abnormal, this computer, I know how it's supposed to be doing, then you actually make sure that you have to monitor them and see what is happening. Maybe a malicious software has been installed on that particular computer and is trying to do bad things. So on your system, right, you have to monitor unusual behavior. So if on an organization you realize that there is this particular computer is sending out messages or is sending out packets, sending something out. This laptop isn't supposed to be sending messages outside our company, because our company we only do things internally. It means that that particular computer maybe has been infected and is sending information to the attackers, to the bad people. So you have to also make sure you do all these things. So we have spent more than an hour here. And then this will bring us to the end of today's session of Threat Intelligence Seminar. Time is far gone, so I'll end here. And I'll say that we will meet next week, Wednesday, same time, that is 4 p.m., 12 noon Eastern Standard Time for those in America and Canada. So thank you all for joining us. If there are no questions, then we will end today's class. And I know that you've actually learned something about malware and how to actually combat malware. Thank you all for joining us. See you next week. Bye-bye. Yeah. Pradeep, do you share the recordings? I think someone asked if the recordings will be shared on WhatsApp, or sorry, on X, that is Twitter. Do you actually share the recordings on Twitter? Anyway, all right. So